What's up, guys? So it's Cake King, and welcome to the Funfetti cake class. All right, this is probably my favorite flavor growing up as a kid. My great grandmother used to bake this for me all the time, just straight out of the box. It wasn't nothing special to it. It was just a regular, basic Funfetti cake that had the sprinkles in the top of the icing, and then you're supposed to put the sprinkles in the icing and everything. But that was my favorite cake. So we're gonna do that today, and then we'll decorate it with a little twist later on. All right. So to get started, I'm just starting out with two basic cake mixes, and this is a Baker's Corner mix. I got this from Aldi's. You can really use any mix that you have. It doesn't matter. I'm going to get it cut open, and I'm gonna add this to a bowl. And you can do this on your stand mixer, or you can do it just by hand. If you have a hand mixer or a stand mixer, either way. So I'm starting off. I got two boxes of mix. All right. I'm going to do 2 cups of sugar, just regular white sugar. All right. Oh, my bad. I got a 2/3 cup out. So I got half. So I'm going to do that's 1 cup. And then 2 cups. All right. And then I'm going to do 2 cups of flour. Now, I like all-purpose flour from Pillsbury. I prefer the Pillsbury all-purpose flour because it is really, really light, and I don't have to do any sifting to it. So I'm just going to put 4 of these because I got a half scoop, and that's it. All right. So with this, you don't have to sift anything. That's what I love about my recipe is the not having to sift. So I'm just gonna give this all the dry ingredients a quick whisk. All right. Now to this, I'm gonna go ahead and add my oil. I got 2 boxes, so I'm doing 1 cup of oil, and I got 2 cups of water, and then I just do a 1 cup of buttermilk and fill my cup up. All right, just 1 cup of buttermilk. And I'm gonna go in now and go ahead and add my eggs in. But I'm gonna go ahead and put this on my stand mixer while we getting our eggs together and let this go on low. And then we need 6 eggs. Y'all, and don't put your eggs back in the same thing that you take them out of when you crack them. Throw them away. Don't put the shells back in there. 3, 4. And you can also do this with egg whites as well. 5 and 6. But if you do egg whites, you're going to have to add in 1 extra. All right. So we're going to get all of that mixed in and just drop your eggs in there with it as well. Now, while that's mixing, for the sprinkles, you can use any of them, but I like to fold the sprinkles into the mix and not just pour it in there while it's mixing. So I'm just using some rainbow sprinkles, and it's the Jimmy's. For flavoring this time, I'm using my Madagascar bourbon vanilla bean paste. I had been wanting to try this out. I got this at a my local supply store, and then I'm going to mix it, of course, with my wedding cake flavor because I just like the taste of almond and everything, and I think it should go in everything. So I'm turning the mixer up some now. And sometimes people don't know when you can over mix your batter, but the best way to find out is you just want to make sure all of the lumps are out of your mix. So while that's going, I'm gonna get my pans out. Now I've talked about these pans before, and it doesn't matter what pans you use, but I love Williams Sonoma pans. They are very expensive, um, but they bake evenly, and they are really, really good pans. And some people say that it doesn't matter what the pan is, as long as you got the right type of spray or whatever agent you're gonna use. But I think a good quality pan does matter in the way your cake bakes. So I'm spraying 3 of these. These are 3 8x2 pans. And I'm gonna put it to the side. Now, to this, I'm gonna add my flavoring. And the flavoring depends on you. I know some people like to use a teaspoon of flavoring. I'm not a teaspoon. I use a tablespoon of it because I like whatever I'm making to taste like what it's supposed to taste like. So if it's vanilla, I want it to taste like vanilla. And then I'm going to add a tablespoon of the wetty flavor, which is like an almondish. It has an almond base to it, but it's like a couple of almond vanillas. I like to kind of trick the palate, so you get all of the different tastes in there, and leave you trying to figure out what it is that you're actually tasting. So that's in there. I just add it back to and you can do all of this while it's on the mixer. I just wanted to show you actually showing the flavor in there. I prefer any method that's like a dump method where you can just put everything in the bowl and just go. So I'm gonna get this ready now because I'm gonna need my sprinkles. All right. So the what I love about the vanilla bean is you can actually see the beans in the batter. It's such it's really really nice. So I'm going to give this another mix. Now I'm going to go ahead and pour in my sprinkles. And you can be as generous as you want. I mean, it depends on how you want it. But I like to see them in there and just fold those in. All right. Now you can't go wrong. This is what I call this my no fail recipe. So even if you can't bake, like you can't mess this recipe up if you just follow the directions. So all right. So that's good. I'm gonna go ahead and pour these in here. And I've already got my oven set. I normally bake at about 325, 330 range, and I let them bake for about 45 minutes. And this is gonna fill up all of these. You may even have some left over. Every brand of cake batter is different. Cake mix is different. Some of them have a little bit more. Some of the boxes have a little bit less. And this is one of the ones that actually got a little bit more. So I still got enough probably to make some cupcakes, a couple cupcakes out of this. So I'll put that to the side. You already know, tap your pans. A lot of people do not know how far to fill their pans up. I always say 2/3 of the way full, and then you have that. All right. So go ahead and get those put in the oven and let those bake, and then we'll come back. All right, guys. So our cakes are now out of the oven, and you can see those bright colors that came through from the sprinkles. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm taking my serrated knife and I'm putting it right on the pan, resting it on there, and I'm just gonna take the tops off. And you see those bright colors in there that we had from those sprinkles. So now this is a level cake. I do all of my cakes like this, level them straight from the pan. Now, with these tops, you can do so many things. People always say, well, what do you do with the tops? You can use them for cake pops, which I know y'all hate, but cake pops are still good. Or you can use them as like sample crumbs if you were doing like some cake jars for your clients to be able to taste your cakes if they have never tasted them before. So that might be a good little happy to get them in. So as you can see, we got these beautiful layers now. They baked all the way up, so the recipe does bake all the way up to the pan, as you can see. That, oh, look at those colors in there. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. So I like to go ahead and I wrap these now. So what I do is I got my saran wrap from Sam's Club, my plastic wrap, and I wrap all of my layers um, as they come out. Sometimes I let them rest for a minute and cool off, but for the most part, I always just flip them right out, even when they're warm, and just go ahead and get them wrapped. So take this, flip it right out. Hey, I about to say, did I spray the pan? Hit y'all? Okay, there we go. So those sprinkles might have been stuck in there. So now I'm gonna wrap that, and you can actually see how moist this cake is right just on here. Look at it, that texture. And I love that sponge-like texture. But you want, when you're doing cakes that you're probably potentially going to be using like for tiers, if it's like a layered cake, you definitely want a recipe that will be able to hold up for any type of decorating. So whether it's going to be done with buttercream or some other medium. Babe, I gotta flip these out, y'all. Okay, thank you. I ain't spray them hard enough. Or maybe I need to use the butter spray. They also have one that has butter in it, a butter and flour in it. I just used the regular butter one, but they came out good though. And I get all of these wrapped. All right. I'm gonna do the same thing with this one this time. There we go. Oh, look at it. They smell amazing. You can smell that vanilla flavoring coming through in here. All right, so I got all of these wrapped. Now I'm going to put these right in the freezer. All of my layers are wrapped and they are ready to go in the freezer. And I'll freeze my layers. Once they're frozen, it'll come back and then we'll start icing. And we're going to prepare our icing, our buttercream using the sprinkles in the icing as well, which we'll use to ice the cake with. All right. All right, guys. So we are back now. Our cakes have had a chance to freeze and become a little bit easier to handle. I like to freeze all of my cakes because it makes them so easy to handle. So you can see again that beautiful color from the sprinkles that we added in there. So now we're going to go ahead and get our cake filled and put on our board and get ready to ice everything. So I have my, of course, King's buttercream, and I have already tinted this pink, a light pink, so it's going to show really light on here. And I have my sprinkles again that we use, my rainbow sprinkles. So this is going to be two parts that we're going to end up doing. How we're going to ice this, okay? So you can do it, the other way, the traditional way, where you just basically put the sprinkles onto the cake. But I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to show you how. All right. So first thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of icing down on my board. And I'm going to unwrap my cake layer. Now, I always put the flat side down. Okay. So that side will go down. And the icing just holds it in place. All right. So I'm going to take some buttercream and just put it right on the cake. All right. And I sometimes I'll try to recommend when you don't know how much icing that you should put in the middle of each layer, to use a piping bag, and let that be your guide. I always say throw a 1M tip on there, and then you can kind of see how much icing you need to put in there. So I'm just going to add some sprinkles right in the middle of these layers. All right. And then we'll go right into unwrapping the rest of our layers. I'm going to grab my scissors. And if you are working along with me, this will be where you will start. You can stay on task here. I'm going to go ahead and unwrap the other one. I also grabbed some drip from Roxy and Rich. It is such a, I love that drip because it's so easy, and I'm going to show that to you in a minute too. Just how it looks and how the bottle looks and everything, and it's so easy to work with. You warm it up just for a little while. I usually do like about 10 to 15 seconds at a time, and it's so nice and creamy, and it has a pretty good taste to it. So we're going to use that as well. Now I'm going to put the next one, the cut side is going to go down. All right, so you can already see how we coming together on here. All right, and I'm gonna grab this. Okay, straighten this up. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add some more buttercream to this, and I'm gonna grab my other spatula as well. Like I said, Funfetti cake is definitely my absolute favorite cake flavor. Even when I was a kid, like I told you guys, the Funfetti was always my favorite because it was just flavorful. It was easy. My great grandmother always had some of that on deck. So it just became my favorite flavor of cake, and it was a fun flavor. So every birthday, I always wanted this cake, and she would make it for me even when it wouldn't. But I used to dig into. I've always been a frosting lover, so I would always get into the icing and eat the icing before she actually made the cake. So I'm going to add some more sprinkles to the middle. And then I'm going to add my final layer. And you can do more than one layer on here. If you are interested in doing like the larger tiers, like the double barrel tiers, there is also a cake class for that as well for double barrel cakes. All right. So here's a little tip. If you are one of those people that hate to see your edges dark or anything, you can go around and take um, a grater, like a cheese grater, and you can actually shave these edges off and get them to the desired look that you want to. And when I say cheese grater, I'm gonna pull mine out so you guys can see. Um, I mean, like this. So let's just say if you didn't like any of the edges on here, and you just wanted to take all those edges off, the brown edges. And some people like this. They really like the edges on there, and I don't see anything wrong with it. But some people do not like brown edges on their cakes. So this was just a easy way to get those edges cleaned off. And this works so much better when your cake, of course, is frozen. And you can go back and forth with it. Take all of those off so you can reveal just the nice, clean layers. But that's up to you. I've seen people do this often. That when they do it, when they're taking all of the they'll take their knife, their serrated knife, and go around it. But you can do this with just a grater. All right, makes it so much easier. It's even easier and less cleanup when you do it over a pan. Okay, so you don't have to worry about all that cake and stuff out. So now you have like nice, clean layers, and it just makes a really, really nice. So when you're cutting, it has a nice, clean cut in the background. All right. So now, if you're going to do your layers like this is the time where you will go ahead and just let it freeze for about 5 more minutes so that you can lock in everything. Then you go right into the upside down method when we'll start to frost it. So what we'll do now is we're going to get our bowl ready so that we can prep our icing so that we can do our sprinkle icing. All right. We're going to do the actual butter. The sprinkles are going to go directly into the buttercream. All right. All right, guys. So we are back, and now we're going to go ahead and do our icing. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I have my King's buttercream. I'm taking just the vanilla and adding it to a bowl, to my mixing bowl. But also to this bowl, I'm gonna go ahead and add my pink that I made up. That was already a light pink, but I'm gonna go ahead and just add it to the white because I needed some more icing. I just added to my 64-ounce container. This is a 32, and I'm just gonna add it to uh, the same one. And I really just want the color anyway. I don't really care about the other stuff. I just want the actual color. So now I'm gonna take this, and what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna mix it in by hand for right now. But what I want to do is I'm gonna get my flavoring because it's already vanilla, but I am an almond fanatic, and I think everybody knows it that I love almond flavoring. So I'm going to take a little bit of my wedding bell flavoring from Kake, etc. And I'm just going to add a tablespoon to it. I'm almost out of it. And you can use any of them, but I love this flavor. It's an emulsion based flavor, so it tends to be a little bit on the thicker side. But it's so worth it because you don't have to use so much flavoring. But I use a tablespoon in whatever I do, so it don't matter. Everything get a tablespoon of flavoring. All right, so from this now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add in some of my sprinkles. All right, and I'm gonna put it on my mixer while I grab my cake, and I'm just going to incorporate the sprinkles together on low, and that sprinkles and the flavoring while I get my cake out of the freezer. Now, remember, I told you guys just to drop it in the freezer for a couple of seconds. Um, you also are going to need some parchment paper. Now, I use parchment paper because wax paper is too thin when you're doing the upside down method. So you need some parchment paper. It doesn't matter which brand. I like to use the one from Sam's too because it's on a big roll, but I also use just any regular one. All right. So I got my buttercream mixed in. And the reason why I wanted to do it with the sprinkles in there already is because I want that actual look of the sprinkles being lodged into the cake, basically. So you'll see exactly what I mean as we go. So now you got your parchment paper. You're gonna need um, your bench scraper, preferably mine. I mean, but if you don't have mine, it's all right. I hate that for you, but you're gonna need a bench scraper. All right. So what we're gonna do? First thing you're gonna do, add some icing to the top of your cake. All right. Because the top is your foundation. This is how you get your sharp edges. Once you get the top done, you never have to touch the cake again because it's already done from there. The top part it'll already be pretty much flat. And that's how you're going to keep that flat top on there. Leave y'all up just a little bit. All right. So I'm going to go ahead, take this around. And then I'm going to put my parchment paper on top. All right. Now you need a larger board than the cake you're doing. And I'm going to grab mine. Right. So I use the acrylic piece for mine, and it's only just because it's a heavier, thicker material. You don't have to use material of acrylic. You can use any cake board or anything you have. So you take this now, flip it over, and you just ice as you regularly would now. All right. So I'm gonna go around, and I'm just gonna ice my cake as you regularly would. I'm gonna get some of this light off of y'all so you guys can see a little bit better. Now you get to see those sprinkles that are lodged in that buttercream. All right. So even on the areas where you had that were may have been a little softer because of the when we cut the trimmed off everything, you can always just fill it in with the icing. So and this, I made sure this was a little bit on the thicker side because the pink I had already added a little bit of powdered sugar to. And if you want more sprinkles in there, you definitely can. If you want just that look, because I love that they're just in sporadic places. So, all right. So now you're gonna take your bench scraper, put it flat on your board, and you're gonna hit that board and just go around. All right. You just keep scraping all the way around until you get it smooth. Now notice I do not clean off my spatula as my scraper as I'm turning because the extra icing that's on the scraper is filling in any errors that I have on here. All right. So now when I come off, you see that's how much icing I have on there. All right. And that's all I'm going to do right now. I just want that cleaned up. And any areas that I see that may need filled in, I'll go ahead and fill those in, which is not many. This is actually a really good base coat. The good thing about this cake is you don't really need to go over and do all those layers of icing because everything is pretty much locked in from here. All right, so I'm going around this one more time. And I'm going to come off of it and we are done with this part. All right. So go ahead now, place your cake in the refrigerator. When we come back, we're going to put it on a actual drum and take our paper off so we can reveal our sharp edges. But I would leave this in the refrigerator or the freezer for at least about 15 to 20 minutes. All right. And that way it gets really, really firmed up. You can go ahead and cut your paper off of here, that extra paper that you have, but never go up above the turntable line where the paper is. And reason being, you don't want to do that because if you do go up too far and you have to re-ice it again, you're going to end up, the paper's going to roll up on you. All right. So go ahead and put that in the freezer now or refrigerator for about 10 to 15 minutes. All right, guys. So we've given our cake chance to sit and get firm so that our edges are firm now. And what I'm going to do now is go ahead and flip it onto my drum. All right, so all you got to do is just put some icing on your board or on your drum, either way. I don't know about this way, because actually this is going to raise up because of the sprinkles in there. So I'll just use a little of the smooth buttercream and just put it on the bottom of the board. Some people actually take the board off. I don't know why. I don't think it really makes sense. But I mean, if you do, you can. I guess it only makes sense if you're gonna not have a bottom border. But when you have it on there, it just stays right in place. And then you take your cake, flip it over, because you can't even see the board, which is why I say that. I guess it really only matters if the cake is going to be, I guess, like displayed differently. So now I'm going to take my parchment paper off, and as you can see, you have those nice sharp edges from letting it sit in the refrigerator, or I put mine in the freezer. All right. So this does the method, the upside down method really does help. It's super simple. It's very efficient. And you can get mostly all of your cakes or get them out the way, get them knocked out faster when you do this method. All right. So now I have been melting down my drip. All right. So this drip again is from Roxy and Rich. It's super, super simple to use. I melted it down. This time I did it for 30-second increments at a time. So what I'm gonna do now is let's hope that it's ready. All right. And I think it is though. So what you'll do is you go around, and I almost feel like when I do this, I feel like I'm piping. All right. So it's really, really easy, but it does, you have to get it in the, if you have a problem with like piping, then it will get you, but it's not hard at all. And if you have trouble with it, use a bag. You can put the drip in a bag. So if you can't pipe, you can just go around and let it fall naturally. You decide how far you want the drips apart. Okay. And you have your drip on there. All right. And it don't even take that much of it. All right. So now you can do one or two things when you get here. All right. Now, if you decorating this cake, then we're gonna keep going as what we're gonna do right now. But if you were slicing this cake up for actual cake slices, I actually found this product. It's by Ateco, but and they have so many different variations of this. But I got this one because it gives you different ones. You can do 14 or 16 slices out of this one, and it's two-sided. So I got this from my local cake supply store. I'm gonna go ahead and open it up so we can see. I figure that the 14 slices would be a nicer size slice for me. But all you do is you sit it right on top of your cake, and it's gonna make the marks for you. All right. So I can't really tell you how many it is on each side, but to me, it looked like they all the same, but it really isn't. You get more on one side. Actually, you can see it on here. So the smaller one, to me, this might be a smaller one on that side, and on this one, it may be a little bit bigger. I mean, you really can't. You can only count for two, 4, 6, I guess, yeah, this is the 14 side. So this is the bigger side as we count it. So that's 14 on that side. So if you put it on there, it gives you the marking space for it. And it makes it really, really easy. So I'll just be able to get like nice cuts. Okay, so I am using a Tico tip, a Tico, and this is, well, actually, this is a JEM tip, and I'm not sure where I got this from, but it is a really, really big star tip, and the reason why I use this star tip is simply because when I put the sprinkles inside of the icing, you're going to get some pushback if you use like a 1M tip or something like that. So if you decide that you want to use a tip that you already have, just know that when you do that, the sprinkles are going to get stuck in the icing. All right. So all I'm going to do is just add some little swirls on top of my cake. And all right. And I always do the 4, then I come back and I go opposite of the areas that I already went in. Okay. And from there, I'll add some additional sprinkles on top. And if this was like a birthday cake or something, you can add candles to the top of this to give it just a really, really fun look. If you wanted to do more sprinkles on here, I would suggest putting them right around the board. Let's just put some around the board. From there, and then I'm going to just take a knife and I'm going to scrape them, just lift them up on the cake. That way they hit just around that board, just at the bottom. So if you were worried about seeing the board at the bottom, then this would be the solution for that. But you can't even see the board because the icing really goes all the way down on the board. So, but this is how you get those sprinkles attached to that. All right. I'm just going to keep adding them all the way around. Even if you wanted to use the board as like decor, you could spread some icing on the board and just let the sprinkles stick to just straight to the board, and you can have basically a funfetti type of board. But I like sometimes to keep it clean unless I'm doing something that has gold on it or something, and I splatter the gold on there. And you can also add that as well, like add the gold and gold leaf. You can really dress this cake up and make it a statement piece, even though it's a fun cake. All right. So from there, all you do now is get your good pictures of everything, and you are good to go for this funfetti cake. Again, this was my childhood favorite cake. I love this flavor again, and it's so fun to make. And I hope you guys have enjoyed watching me do this and enjoyed this short mini class. And if you enjoy classes like this, let me know in the comments below, and we'll keep it going just like this. So, thank you guys for tuning in to the Funfetti class.